Hello students, I welcome you all on the lecture series for the course Basics of Transformer and Transformer Design. In last lecture, we have seen how to reduce the equivalent circuit of the transformer, and we have drawn the approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to primary side and referred to secondary side. So, before going to the next topic, that is regulation of the transformer, let us first of all revise how to draw the approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the primary side and referred to the secondary side. So, I will draw here the equivalent circuit of the transformer, which is approximate equivalent circuit referred to the primary side. So, I will take the black color for it. So in this approximate equivalent circuit, what is your RT1? RT1 is nothing but total effective resistance of the transformer referred to the primary side. Means it is addition of your primary resistance and the resistance of the secondary referred to primary side. That is R2 dash. Right? So I can write down this as RT1 is equal to R1 plus R2 by K square. So when I am transferring the secondary resistance on primary side, it will get divided by, its value will get divided by K square. Similarly, Xt2 is equal to X1 plus X2 dash, where my X2 dash is nothing but reactance of the secondary referred to the primary side, and it is nothing but X2 divided by K square. What is K here? K is nothing but the transformation ratio. K is nothing but the transformation ratio. Then when my ZL will get transferred, that is load impedance will get transferred to the primary side, it will become ZL dash, which is nothing but ZL by K square. Similarly, when I will transfer the terminal voltage V2 on the primary side, my V2 will become V2 dash, and it is nothing but equals to V2 by K. It will become V2 by K. Okay. Then I will draw now the equivalent circuit. This is the equivalent circuit referred to. This all is about the equivalent circuit. I will write down, I will mention here approximate equivalent circuit, because we have approximated this equivalent circuit of transformer referred to primary side. Now, let us draw the equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the secondary side. So, I have to transfer now the primary quantities on the secondary side. So, when I will transfer my primary quantity, that is V1, on the secondary side, it will become V1 dash. It will become V1 dash. So, I will draw here just. First of all, I will draw the circuit, then I will mark all the quantities. So when V1 will get transferred to the secondary side, my V1 will become V1 dash, which is nothing but K into V1. K into V1. This is your RT2. Total effective resistance of the transformer referred to secondary side. And my XT2 is nothing but total effective reactance referred to the secondary side. So RT2 and XT2 are total effective resistance and reactance of the transformer referred to the primary side respectively. And my load ZL will be as it is, because I am not going to transfer that ZL on the primary side now. And my V2 is as it is. V2 is as it is. What is your RT2? RT2 is nothing but total effective resistance of the transformer referred to the secondary side, and it is nothing but secondary side resistance plus primary side resistance referred to the secondary side, that is R1 dash. So if I convert that in terms of your transformation ratio, it will become K square R1. So my RT2 is nothing but R2 plus K square R1. Similarly, for reactance, I will write XT2. What is XT2? Total effective reactance of the transformer referred to the primary side. So it is nothing but secondary side reactance plus primary side reactance referred to the secondary side, means X1 dash. Now what is X1 dash? My XT2 is nothing but X2 plus X1 dash, which is nothing but equals to K square X1. K square X1. Then what is V1 dash? V1 dash is nothing but equivalent applied voltage of the primary winding referred to the secondary side, and it is given by K into V1. K into V1. So likewise we have revised the equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the primary side, and this lower circuit with the equation will give you the approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer. Approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to secondary side. Referred to secondary side. So just within 5 minutes we have revised all theory that I have covered in the last lecture. Now let us study what is the regulation of the transformer. What is the regulation of the transformer? So we know that the terminal voltage of cell is always less than the EMF, right? The terminal voltage of the cell is always less than the EMF if my cell delivers current to the load. Why? Because there is some voltage drop which is going to cause due to the internal resistance of the cell. Similarly, in case of the transformer, when transformer is not delivering any current to the load, at that time voltage available across the secondary terminals of the transformer is equal to the induced EMF E2 across the secondary winding, right? So I can write down, when my transformer is on no load, then my E2 is nothing but equals to V2, right? But as soon as the transformer starts delivering the current to the load, right, due to the internal voltage drop caused due to the combined effect of impedances of primary and secondary windings, the secondary terminal voltage starts falling, right? Why? Because every winding has some resistance and the reactance, and in those resistances and reactances drop is going to take place. So when no load is connected across transformer, the mutually induced EMF across the secondary is equals to the terminal voltage V2. But once I have connected the load across the transformer, with increase in the current delivered, the resistance and leakage reactance drops of your primary winding causes a decrease in the value of the primary induced EMF E1. This also produces a proportional decrease in the flux, and hence if flux is get reduced, the secondary EMF induced is also get reduced. So the terminal voltage, secondary terminal voltage is then further reduced by the resistance and reactance drop of your secondary winding. So students, the effect of the load on the secondary terminal voltage you must understand from the simple equivalent circuit of the transformer, which is referred to the secondary side. So we have drawn the simple equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the primary side. So students, this is the approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the secondary side. In this circuit, when no load is connected across the transformer, what is my I2? My I2 will be 0. So there will be no internal voltage drop in the impedances of the winding. What is the impedances of the winding? RT1 plus J, RT2 plus J, XT2, right? So when my I2 is equal to 0, there is no drop in the impedances of the winding. Hence, what is the voltage available across the secondary terminal under this condition? It is nothing but V1 dash equals to KV1 equals to KE1, because my V1 is approximately equals to K1 equals to E2 equals to E2. So this is the voltage available across the load or across the secondary terminal when my I2 will be 0. When my I2 will be 0, if I have not connected any load here. No load means no current taken, right? So when I am drawing approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the secondary side, this current should be I2, right? But when I will put on my load or when I will switch on my load, due to the voltage drop in the impedances of the winding, the secondary voltage will change from its no load value. What is the no load value? No load value is nothing but this. So the voltage value, secondary voltage value will change from its no load value, and it will be now given by V2 is nothing but KV1 minus I2 into RT2 plus JXT2. Means there will be some drop will takes place in the impedances of the winding. What is V2? V2 is this. So V2 is nothing but vector sum of your V1 dash and impedance drop. So I have written here what I can write down from this equivalent circuit. I can write down my V2 output voltage or the terminal voltage is nothing but vector sum of KV1. What is KV1? It is nothing but the primary voltage referred to the secondary side minus drop in the impedances of the winding, means drop in the RT2 plus JXT2. What is RT2 plus JXT2 is nothing but I can write down this as ZT2, means total impedance of the transformer referred to the secondary side, right? Just I will highlight this equation here. So the secondary terminal voltage depends not only upon the magnitude of the load current, but it also depends upon the power factor of the load. With inductive load such as motor and the resistive load, the secondary terminal voltage decreases with increase in the load on the transformer. But if I connect the capacitive load having leading power factor, then my terminal voltage may increase. My terminal voltage may increase. So let us draw one interesting graph for the secondary terminal voltage versus the load current in the ampere. So on y-axis, I will take the secondary terminal voltage, and on the x-axis, I will take the load impedance, load current in amperes. So this will be your load current in amperes, and this one will be your secondary terminal voltage, in volts. So for resistive load, if my load current increases, my secondary terminal voltage for some time remains constant, and then it starts decreasing for inductive load. The drop in the voltage for resistive load is somewhat less than that for the inductive load. But for the capacitive load, my secondary terminal voltage may increase. So this is for capacitive load. This is for resistive load. And this is for inductive load. This one is for inductive load. The effect of power factor on the secondary terminal voltage can be seen on the simple equivalent circuit referred to the secondary side that I have explained just now for the constant primary impressed voltage V1 and the load current I2. So the change of power factor causes the impedance triangle to swing around. What is impedance triangle? You know, right? So under UPF condition, what is UPF? Unity power factor condition. Under unity power factor condition, the fall in the secondary terminal voltage on the load is mainly due to your I2, RT2 and the I2, XT2 drop, right? So under UPF condition, the fall in the secondary terminal voltage on the load is mainly due to your I2, RT2 drop, whereas the I2, XT2 drop is small. It is small. It is more. For which type of load? For unity power factor load. Unity power factor load, right? On other hand, under lagging power factor condition, means when your load is inductive, the fall in the secondary terminal voltage, the fall in secondary terminal voltage V2 is mainly due to the reactance drop, means I2, XT2. It is more. It is more. Whereas the resistive drop is small. Whereas the resistive drop is small. This drop is small. This is for which type of load? This is for lagging power factor loads. Then when power factor is leading, the secondary terminal voltage actually rises on the load. And how it is rising, let us see it with the phasor diagram. Let us see it with the phasor diagram. 1 minute. So first of all, I will draw the phasor diagram for unity power factor load. Then I will draw the phasor diagram for lagging power factor load. Then we will come to know that how your secondary terminal voltage is falling down or rising up. So what is the reference vector? Let us take V2 as a reference vector now. I will take V2 as a reference vector. As my load is resistive, the current is in phase with the voltage. So the secondary current is in phase with the secondary voltage. Due to this current, now come to the approximate equivalent circuit of this circuit. Now according to this circuit, I will draw the phasor diagram. V2 I will take as a reference vector. Which type of load is connected here? Resistive load. So my I2 will be in phase with V2. Then due to this I2, some drop will take place in this RT2. That drop will be in phase with the I2. Then also some drop will take place in the XT2. That drop in the XT2 will lead my I2 by 90 degree. Then vector sum of this V2 and this impedance drop, I will get the V1 dash. I will get V1 dash. Okay. So just in this way we will proceed for the phasor diagram. So now in RT1 sub drop will be takes place. That drop is nothing but, I will write down this as I2 RT2. Then some drop will takes place in the XT2. I am drawing this circuit for the approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer. Please keep this thing in mind. Right? So this is your I2 XT2. And phasor addition of I2 RT2 and I2 XT2 is nothing but I2 ZT2. And vector addition of your V2 and I1 ZT2 is nothing but, what is that? It is V1 dash. What is V1 dash? V1 dash equals to K into V1, or it is equals to E2, or it is equals to E2, right? So this is the phasor diagram for unity power factor. Now let us draw the phasor diagram for lagging power factor. Now here again I will take V as a reference vector. V as a reference vector. As my load is lagging, current will lag the voltage by angle phi. So my current I2 will be lagging my V2 by angle phi. Then there is drop in RT2 of your approximate equivalent circuit referred to secondary side. So that drop, that is I2 RT2 will be in phase with I2. Then some drop will take place in the XT2. So that is nothing but your I2 XT2, which is leading to your I2 by 90 degree. Then vector addition of both is nothing but your I2 ZT2, and vector addition of V2 and I2 ZT2 is nothing but your V1 dash, which is nothing but equals to KV1, which is nothing but equals to E2. Okay, this is the phasor diagram for lagging power factor. Then now let us draw the phasor diagram for leading power factor. Now for leading power factor, again I will take voltage as a reference vector. I will take voltage as a reference vector. Which voltage? V2. Student, just you have to recall this diagram of the approximate equivalent circuit, and from this diagram only I am drawing the phasor diagram for the transformer. So V2 I have taken as a reference vector. My I2 will lead to V2 by some angle. Let that angle will be power factor angle phi. Then from the tip of V2 I will draw I2 RT2 drop, which is parallel to I2. So this is your I2 RT2 drop in phase with I2. Then perpendicular to I2, I will mark my I2 XT2 drop, I2 XT2 drop, and vector addition of my I2 RT2 and I2 XT2, I will get I2 ZT2, right? And vector addition of I2 ZT2 and V2 is nothing but your V1 dash, which is equals to K into V1, which is equals to your E2. Okay, so the numerical difference between the values of your secondary terminal voltage on no load means, what is the secondary terminal voltage on no load? It is E2, right? And with full load, what is the value of the terminal voltage? V2. So the numerical difference between the values of the secondary terminal voltage on no load and with full load is very important for us, and it is known as inherent regulation of the transformer. So students, let us see what is the regulation of the transformer. Regulation of the transformer is nothing but it is defined as change in the secondary terminal voltage from no load to full load with primary impressed voltage V1 and the temperature of the transformer maintained constant. So what is regulation of the transformer is nothing but your no load voltage minus full load voltage. Just I have said it is the numerical difference of the secondary terminal voltage from no load to full load, and it is we have to express with respect to the terminal voltage at no load, and if I multiply it by 100 I will get the percentage regulation. So the regulation of the transformer is nothing but it is defined as the change in the secondary terminal voltage from no load to full load when my primary impressed voltage V1 and the temperature of the transformer I am maintaining constant. Normally the regulation is expressed as a percentage of no load secondary terminal voltage. What is no load secondary terminal voltage? V2. So the numerical difference of the terminal voltage from no load to full load I have expressed with respect to the no load secondary terminal voltage, that is nothing but E2, and it is multiplied by 100 so that I will get the regulation in the percentage. So referring to the simple equivalent circuit or approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer, refer to secondary side. We have drawn all phasor diagram and we have written the formula for the regulation. Similarly, you can refer the simple equivalent circuit of your transformer, refer to the primary side, and you can find out the regulation, right? So again I will draw, let us take one new sheet. So what is the simple equivalent or approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer, refer to the primary side. I will draw here again. Refer to the primary side now I have to take. So V1 I will keep as it is. This will become now RT1, effective resistance of the transformer, refer to the primary side, and this will become XT1, total effective reactance of the transformer, refer to the primary side. And now this current will be I1. I have to transfer ZL on this side, so it will become ZL dash. And what is this? This is nothing but your V2 dash. This is nothing but V2 dash, which is nothing but equals to V2 upon K. So this is the approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer, referred to the primary side. So the regulation may also be expressed in terms of your corresponding quantities which are referred to the primary side, right? So what is that? So what is the voltage regulation in this diagram? So the voltage regulation from this approximate equivalent circuit I can write down as equals to V1 minus V2 dash upon V1 into 100. Okay, so on no load, the secondary terminal voltage of the transformer which is referred to primary side will be V1 only. But as I will connect the load, the secondary terminal voltage will get dropped down due to the impedance drop. So what will my V2 dash will become? My V2 dash will becomes equals to vector sum of V1 and the impedance drop. So I have to subtract impedance drop from the V1 so that I will get the terminal voltage V2 dash. Then I will subtract my V2 dash from V1 and express that with respect to the voltage on the no load. Then I will get the regulation. So students, remember one thing, as we have seen from the phasor diagram. Again I will show you the phasor diagram. When my power factor is leading, my terminal voltage is less than that of the voltage at the no load, right? So V2, this V2, which is, this E2 is less than that of V2. So in that case, what will happen? My regulation will become equals to negative. So my V1 dash is less than that of V2. So as this is your E2, just I have forgot to write down this as E2. So my E2 is less than V2 at the time of leading power factor. So my regulation will be negative. But here my E2 is greater than V2 for lagging power factor as well as the unity power factor. So my regulation will be positive. So regulation is always positive for inductive load with lagging power factor and resistive load with the unity power factor. And my regulation may be negative for capacitive load with the leading power factor. So my voltage regulation is dependent on the power factor of the load. So regulation must be always specified with the load power factor. Students, the transformer having low voltage regulation and therefore more or less secondary terminal voltage is always considered as a good transformer. Means my transformer should always have the less voltage regulation. Means it should be capable of transferring the power from one circuit to another circuit without drop in the voltage. So transformer having less regulation and therefore more or less constant secondary terminal voltage, that transformer is always considered as a good transformer. So students, in this lecture I have explained you the concept of the regulation of the transformer. So in my next coming lecture I will explain you the mathematical expression for approximate voltage regulation for the transformer, as well as we will see the efficiency of the transformer. Thank you students. Thanks once again. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you.